Welcome to another style study video. I am Matt, and in this video we are going to take a look at style 2A, International Pale Lager. But before we get to that, let me give my usual disclaimer and say that I do not represent the BJCP in any way, shape, or form. The BJCP does not authorize or endorse this video or this series of videos. This is merely my journey in exploring and learning these styles on my path to obtaining, hopefully, knock on wood, my BJCP beer certification. All right, with that out of the way, let us take a look at style 2A, International Pale Lager. We'll go with the overall impression, then look at the vitals, then of course go through the elements that we are going to score it on. So, overall impression, a highly attenuated pale lager without strong flavors, typically well balanced and highly carbonated. Served cold, it's refreshing and thirst quenching. So, moving on to the vitals. Color range, the SRM, we go from a 2 to 6 range. The IBUs range from 18 to 25. The original gravity has a range of 1.042 to 1.050. Final gravity can range from 1.008 to 1.012, giving us an ABV range of 4.626%. All right, now getting into the specific characteristics that we're going to be looking for in our score sheet as we score this beer. Aroma, low to medium low malt aroma, which can be grainy malty or slightly corny sweet. Hop aroma may range from very low to medium, spice or floral hop present. Hop aroma may range from very low to a medium spicy or floral hop presence. While clean fermentation profile is generally most desirable, low levels of yeast characters, such as light apple fruitiness, are not a fault. A light amount of DMS or corn aroma is not a fault. Going from aroma, we'll take a look at appearance now. Pale straw to gold color, white frothy head, may not be long lasting, and very clear. That was actually pretty succinct, so let's go into flavor. Low to moderate levels of grainy malt flavor with a crisp, dry, well-attenuated finish. The grain character may be somewhat neutral or show a light bready, crackery quality, or up to a moderate corny or malty sweetness. Hop flavor ranges from none to medium levels and often showing a floral, spicy, or herbal character if detected. Hop bitterness at medium-low to medium level. Balance may vary from slightly malty to slightly bitter, but is relatively close to even. Neutral aftertaste with light malt and sometimes hop flavors. A light amount of DMS is not a fault. And finally, mouthfeel, light to medium body, moderately high to highly carbonated, can have a slight carbonic bite on the tongue. And of course, there is some comments and history notes and some characteristic ingredients. Of course, you can find those on the BJCP 2015 guidelines at bjcp.org. But let's take one last look at the commercial examples that we have that we can learn this style, or learn a little bit about the style, I should say. And we got some very findable beers here, at least in my neck of the woods. But once I get to the list, I think you'll be able to find something just about anywhere. But let's go through and find out. Asahi Super Dry, Birra Moretti, Corona Extra, Devil's Backbone Gold Leaf Lager, Full Sail Session Premium Lager, Heineken, Red Stripe, and Singha. I think I'm saying that last one right. And I did find, actually I found quite a few, but I decided to go with one that I usually, I'm not saying I usually drink these, but a lot of these show up at parties, and I've had examples of them in the past year, let's say. I have not had this in quite a few years, so I thought this would be a good base to learn the style on, or at least practice the style, and that is Red Stripe. And along with finding Red Stripe, for I think the first time since doing these videos, I have to use a bottle opener. It's not a twist off, it's not a can, so I'm a little more excited about that than I probably should be. So I'll give it a a competition pour, and I do have my review sheet here of the highlights we just went through, so I'll tell you what I find initially, and then I'll do my judging and be back to discuss that. So here's the pour, and it was an aggressive pour, and it's got quite a bit of a head on it, but we'll still go through this best we can. Aroma is always tough when I pour like this, but I wanted to give it its fair representation. I may, in the future, now that I think about it, do a more aggressive pour after the review to show it off so I can relay the initial aroma to you. But I didn't do that, obviously, this time. So let's go through this. Low to medium malt. Definitely, I mean, I think I do get some malty character there. Hard to tell with the 2-inch thick head. Not getting any real hops, but I do get the clean fermentation. That's a very distinctive smell at this point, especially with reviewing all these lagers. So clean fermentation for sure. Appearance, we can always tell that regardless of the size here. So pale straw to gold, absolutely. That is probably in between. I do need to get a little SRM card to see exactly where these fall, or at least do my best judgment between the two, but I would say that's dead center between the description of pale straw and the gold. White frothy head, I just went on a good, 40 seconds about the head, so there we go. Clear, crystal clear, absolutely crystal clear again. Condensation kind of does a little trick of the eye to it, but it's definitely clear. Flavor, well, let's find out. Low to moderate grainy. And I do get a grainy maltiness to it, a little richer than my last round of beers. None to medium hop. I would agree that if there's any hop, it's very low. Not really detecting anything specific yet. Medium to low to medium bitterness. I do taste just a little bit of bitterness. I might even say it might be a little bit below medium low, although not sure what medium low means. It's a weird quantifier, so maybe that's correct. Neutral aftertaste, absolutely. In fact, I mean, I don't get any bitter or sweet. It's just kind of gone. Mouthfeel, light to medium body, I can tell you right away. I definitely detect that's a touch more than light body to it, but not medium. And highly carbonated, I mean, you can see that. I don't know if you can see the carbonation still rolling out the bottom of the cup, but it's clearly highly carbonated. So, all right. So now's the time where I'm going to pause the recording. I'm going to set a timer for 12 minutes, fill out a score sheet. This time I'm just going to do a flat out score sheet. I don't have any specific intent this time. I don't have any tools. Just kind of see if I can put together some of the things I learned in the last round without any, without any specific plans or without any additional tools. So, all right, let me get to that. So I will be back in 12 minutes or less. All right, 12 minutes have passed. Actually, 11 minutes and 44 seconds have passed, but I'm not one to brag. And I do have my score sheet almost as filled out as I'd like. There's a little bit here at the bottom. I wish I'd put more in. And when we get to the overall impression, you'll see I kind of, I'm not sure the word I'm looking for. I was going to say stretched it a bit. I didn't, I'm not sure the word I'm looking for. Maybe when I read through it, it'll make more sense. And another thing I did want to mention is that when I first started filling this out, I just kind of let myself enjoy this beer, and without, again, trying to specifically do any one thing on the score sheet. And I think I unintentionally, and this is a good thing, unintentionally kind of practice how to describe good things in a beer, which is going to happen in the test as well. There's going to be good things to say and bad things to say. So I think this ended up being an exercise in finding the positives in a beer, although I didn't intend to. But it was a lot of fun to judge that way for once. So let's get through the details here so you can see what I'm talking about. Filled out the top of the sheet, category 2, subcategory A, entry number red stripe, subcategory international pale lager. Bottle inspection, check. I put branded label, good hiss on open, bottle appropriately filled. Aroma, bready base malt aroma with a hint of sweet corn. Faint floral hops more noticeable as the head dissipated. Clean yeast presence, delicate sweet floral notes with a bit of light apple aroma, a subtle hint of clove, and I gave that 11 out of 12. Appearance, brilliantly clear, straw color, very thick white frothy head on pour with tiny white bubbles. I should have put tight. I did, with tight, tiny white bubbles. Okay, I jumped ahead of my reading. Head remained for several minutes, falling to a 1/4-inch layer of tiny, tight white bubbles. That's one thing I learned from my last score sheet is I said head remain through most of tasting, but they don't know how long it took me to taste. So this time I put what I thought was a good estimation of the time that that giant head remained when I did a repour. And appearance 3 out of 3. I've made my points on why I think that should be a larger score range. But on the flavor, clean malt sweet profile, a hint of corn flavor but not overpowering. Clean fermentation with recognizable yeast character. Well balanced, neither too sweet nor too bitter. A sweet and tart aftertaste that lingered for a few seconds on the finish, and I gave that an 18 out of 20. Mouthfeel, light-bodied, strong carbonation, adding a noticeable carbonic bite, no overwhelming alcohol notes, soft creamy coating over the tongue, slight sting from the carbonation more prominent towards the end of tasting. 4 out of 5. So there's another timing thing in there, but I said the end of tasting doesn't necessarily mean any real time span. It was when there was less than this in the cup. I actually poured a little more to review my notes. So I give that a 4 out of 5. Overall impression, a very well-made beer, easy to drink, and I would have no hesitation drinking this again. One nitpicking desire would be just a touch more bittering hop at the start of the boil, possibly. Otherwise, a very enjoyable beer, no flaws, and a pleasure to drink. Great job. So what I was trying to say there was earlier, now that I read it, it doesn't seem like I repeated myself too much, but it was kind of started and ended with the same point, that it was a very enjoyable beer and it was a pleasure to drink. They're kind of mean the same thing, but I mean, now that I read it out loud, maybe not so bad, but I gave that a 10 out of 10, giving this a 46 out of 50, which puts it in the outstanding range. So I enjoyed that process. I enjoyed the beer, obviously, from the score I gave it, but I actually enjoyed that process. So that's another learning, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, milestone? I guess it is a milestone without me having really intended to be one. So sometimes just take a second to enjoy the beer, find the positive, and note it down, because it's like I said, it's sometimes I should say, not, this doesn't go for everybody. I'm speaking from my experience, especially doing this series. I have hit some of these score sheets with, I need to find the flaws, I need to take points away. Sometimes that's not true. Sometimes you have to find what's right about it so you can justify those large number of points. So I guess that's what I learned today. The only thing I have left to say is that I will be back with another video soon with Style 2B, which is International Amber Lager. So thank you for watching, of course. Can't fail to mention that. And I'll be back with another style study video very soon.